I've got quite a few children showing a lot of interest in writing at the moment, and parents asking what they can do at home to further this skill. So this is a short video just on some basics of what to do at home if you would like to incorporate just a little bit of writing into every day. Again, as is with everything, routine and repetition. So if you can do one little page every day, which doesn't take more than a few minutes, you'll really see big results. I want to really reinforce that you don't want to rush this process. You want to try and start very gradually with the basics, and as your child starts to gain their skill, very gradually bring in new letters so that you're never threatening their confidence and they're always feeling like they are achieving it and they're doing well. Always making sure that they are holding their pencil correctly is a big part of this. So I don't want to see them holding it like this or with their thumb not on the pencil. Try and hold it nicely with their two fingers and their thumb so that they're developing a good pencil hold for later in life. Also, always making sure that they are forming the letters correctly, because again, we don't want to have to unlearn bad habits. So they're very keen to write a N for nose like this, or a T starting at the bottom, or a M for mountains. We really want to try and teach them always to be starting at the top, so reinforcing that, going down and coming up on the same line every time. Also, whenever you're teaching them a new letter, so say you're teaching them how to do an A, always start by going back to the basic letter within it. So for an A, we have the C there. Getting them to do a whole line of C before you give them that A for apple, which has the C at the start. So they really remember I need to start with the K, and then I can make an A for apple. Or if you're teaching them how to do a N for nose, having them do a whole line of ones, and then you say just do a 1, come up on the same line and around. It's really not that hard when they understand that they are just doing that easy letter that they are already good at. That's pretty much it. Have a quick look at the video, and if you have any questions, email me and I can send you extension writing activities if your child's ready to start spelling out. The first letter we always start with is an O. I write it in the first box, and your child needs to fill in the rest of the boxes in that line. Sometimes it's quite hard for them to remember just to write in that line, and they want to write one all over, so just teaching them to write in the first line. The next one, number 1, if they're okay at doing O. Good. Now very carefully doing an I and a dot on the top, always starting at the top, going down and a dot on the top. Great. The I is an extension from the 1, pretty simple. If they're good at the ones, this should be easy for them. Another I. Good. Now, T for chop the top. I keep saying the letter, it will help them to remember what the letter is when they're learning their letter sounds. T for chop the top. There you have it, that's the first step. They're all quite simple. If your child is still working on these letters and not too confident, keep doing these letters every day, just a little page, and they'll develop concentration and their confidence with that, and soon they'll be ready to have extensions. Now if your child is really good at all those other letters, then you might be able to start doing a curly K. Sometimes I start and put a dot at the top of the box there, just so you know where to start, so there's no reversals. Going across the top, down and around. Good job. Okay, now if they are really good at those curly Ks, you can start introducing them to a lot of the numbers and letters that are hidden inside a curly K, like a silly 6. Silly 6 sits on his head with his feet up in the air. Very good. It's just a curly K and loop around. I say curly K. Oh, where do you start your curly K? Curly K and loop around. Next one, curly K and loop around. Oh, how do you loop around? Back to there, that's fine, keep going. And one more, curly K and loop around. Now these two come quite easy to them once they're getting a bit more confident at their writing. I probably wouldn't broach all the other ones that have a curly K hidden in them yet, because they are quite difficult. I'd probably start with something like a number 4, shut the door. This is sort of along the lines of a T for tree, so if they're good at T's, then they might be quite good at 4s once they've got their head around it. It's just chopping the bottom instead of the top this time. So I find that before showing them all the letters that have a curly K hidden in them, it might be easier for them to start with the ones that have a number 1. Jake, number 1, up on the same line and curling around a little bit is a R for rabbit, starting always at the top. Making sure that they're always starting at the top is really important so that they don't form a habit of writing it incorrectly, because that's very hard to unlearn. Yep, straight down like a number 1, up and beautiful curly at the top. Good, and another. R for rabbit, good. Now you're good at a R, then a N for nose. Shouldn't be too hard, up on the same line and all the way around to the bottom. Can't see what I'm doing here. N for nose. Good. N for nose. Yep, always starting at the top, going all the way down, coming back all the way on the same line and around. Now if you have too much at the top here, it's going to look like a H, so make sure you're coming all the way up to the top again, all the way to the top, and then around to be a N for nose. One more. N for nose, down to the bottom, up on the same line, and curling around. Okay, let's try H for hill. This one can have a long slide, and just a little H hill at the bottom. Nice and long, and just a little hill. Good job. Another one. If they're wanting to come back up on a new line rather than coming back up on the line that they've made, sometimes I talk about you've got to drive a little bit back up on the same road and then around. So driving your car up on the road, make up little stories for that. Just up on the road and around. Good. Another one. One more. I find they're especially likely to do that with a M for mountains, so we can say we're starting at home, we go down to school, but we've forgotten our lunch. Come back up on the same road so you don't get lost and go back to school. Oh, but you've got your drink bottle, go back up to home and then around. So always starting at the top, coming back up on those same lines, down to school. Oh, you've got your lunch, up on the same road and around, oh, and then coming back up on the same road and around. Good. Another one. Next one, starting at home, down to school, come back up on the same road and around. Down to school, come back up on the same road and around. Beautiful. Yep. So once your child's good at curly Ks, start practicing some more of the letters that have it hidden inside it. Now before I get them to do any new letters, I'd have them do a whole another line of curly Ks, but we'll skip that step right now. Jake, I want you to do a curly K and come up to the top, down and around. Show me. Always starting on this side, going curly K, up to the top, down and around. Now they are quite inclined to reverse it with these ones that have a curly K hidden inside it. So always making sure their curly K is starting on the right side. Yeah, you can give them little tricks like saying he likes your other hand, he wants to run towards your other hand first. Yeah, always running towards your other hand. That's it, curly K. Up to the top, down on that same line, trying to reinforce going down on that same line again, always got to go up on the same road. Yep, as you come down. Great. So when you're good at A for apple, you can do a little A for apple, little curly K, up to the top and straight down to do a number 9. Same thing, starting with your little curly Ks. Nice little curly K up to the top and just a bit longer this time. Great. If they're quite good at As, the 9s should come very naturally to them. It's just a slight extension. Straight down. Great. Another one. Curly K. Up to the top. Straight down. Yep. Oh, careful. Next one. Sensible number 9. Standing up nice and straight. Uh-oh, what have you forgotten? Always starting with your curly K, up to the top, straight down. One last one, curly K, up to the top, straight down. Great. And now if you're good at number 9, you can do a curly K, up to the top, straight down, and flicking out the back. Just a very slight extension again. Curly K, up to the top, down on the same line, and flicking out the back. Great. Maybe your flick go a little bit more out behind it. It's the Queen's dress, that one is. She's got her dress going behind her. Down and flicking out the back. Great. Next one. Curly K. Oh, what have you forgotten? You must always start with your curlica. Up to the top, straight down and flick. It's always reinforcing. You can put these little dots to remind them if they're forgetting. Little curlica. Always starting with a curlica for these letters. These are the letters with the hidden curlicas. And flicking out the back. And one more. Curlica. Up to the top, down, and flick out the back. And then I'd probably do a go down the drain. We've got a curlica. Up to the top, just like
That's easy for me too.
Yeah, just like a banana and a little curly. See if you can do that now. Remember, always starting with our little curlicas. Up to the top and go down the drain. Great. Go for great. Curlica. Up to the top and go. Good. Go for good. So Jake, now that you're good at curlicas, let's do a curlica that loops around to be a surfer snake. Can you do me a nice surfer snake? Starting at the top with a little curlica, looping around, beautiful. Another one, surfer snake. Great, whole line of surfer snake. And then, when you're good at surfer snake, you can chop through the middle and do me a nice lovely roller coaster 8. Good, well, make sure you're starting with your surfer snake. Good, surfer snake, chopping back to the top is a number 8. I'm going to start with a surfer snake. Oh, which way does it go? Yeah, good. Surfer snake. Always starting with a curlica. Great. 8. Now, another letter that's quite tricky.
It's so good.
It's so good, yeah. For upside down. Can you do that for me, please? No? Great. For upside down. Great. One more. For, oh. No, for upside down. Fix it up. Go down to the bottom. Oh, that's enough for nose. Okay. Good, that'll do. Try and make it even nicer for your yo-yos that go yo-yoing down the drain. Well, what do we need to do? We need to come back down on the same line. Can you show me one that comes down on the same line like this one? So up to the top, coming down on that same line, and curling around at the front. Good, yeah for yo-yo. And we've got for elephant.
I'm doing my name.
Nope, just doing an F for elephant. Straight across the sky, up and around. Great, can you do an even nicer one here?
It is in my name.
It is in your name, yep. Straight line, up and around. Great. And a F for frightened frog is a pretty tricky one. Going.
That's not a tricky thing.
No. Show me going up and around and down and chopping it. Good. Really start trying them. Yeah, that's much nicer. Great job for frightened frog. Once your child's really good at copying the letters, you can start testing them to see what they remember. Jake, can you write me an O? Can you write me an I, itchy spot? Can you write me a T for tree? Could you do me a number 4, shut the door? Could you write me a curlica? And what about a silly 6? That's a number 4 again. Can you do me a silly 6? You know how to do silly 6. Good. And a 7. Straight to heaven. Do another one in the next box then. Start, okay, yeah. Straight to heaven. At this point I'd probably point out that I would like it to be really straight and pointing down to the corner and have him do a whole line of those. What about, can you do for me a R for rabbit? Write me a R for rabbit. I like that you came up on that same line so nicely. Could you do that with a N for nose? Very good. Could you write me a S for snake? Yep, sorry, yeah. And since you're so good at the S, could you do me a roller coaster number 8? Great job. Could you remember how to do a V for volcano? Beautiful. And could you do for me a M for mountains, remembering always to come back up on the same road that you went down on. Yep, coming back on that same. Oh, what's happening? That's a nice word for waves, but what's a M for mummy look like? Did you do a M for mummy there? That's nice, good. So again, doing a whole line of M's and maybe a whole line of W's just to remember the difference.
Done.
Oh, wait a minute, we've got one more box here. What would you like to do there? Could you do me a K for kick?
Yeah.
K for kick. Great. So just practicing any of the letters that they're struggling with. Another way to test your child when they're good at writing the letter sounds is to write some short phonetic words. So here we have a hat, rat, mug and cut. I'm going to spell them out. So Jake, how would we write hat? What's the first letter? Tell me.
Huh.
Huh? Good. What comes next? Her.
Ah.
Ah. Great. Comes next.
Tuh.
Good. Hat. What about rat? Starts
Ruh.
with a R. Yeah, R. R for rat. R. Ah.
Ah.
Good. Yep. R. Ah.
Tuh.
Great. What about mug?
M.
Oh, I like how you came up on that same line. Ooh, this one we could practice coming up on the same line again. So one like that I would look at and later do a line of M's when we next do writing in squares. What comes next? M.
Ah.
Ah.
How do I?
Yeah, you're doing it well. That's it. Perfect. I'm coming down that same line. Good. M. Ah. Ooh, what comes next? Wait a minute. What's that one? Oh, is it a Y for yo-yo at the end?
No.
M. Ah. Y. What is it?
How do you feel?
Are we doing a Y? That's a Y, but are we wanting a Y? M. Ah.
G.
G. Okay, how do you make it into a G? I think I just have to join the top. So again, a G would be a good one to practice for you. And
Yeah.
cut.
K.
K. Good. K.
Ah.
Ah. K. Ah. What's the next letter? K. Ah.
T.
T. Great. And then could you write your name on the bottom? I believe there is an optimal order of teaching the letters. I think it is always best to start with O, 1, and I, L if you're doing a cursive, and T, oh, and the J. This is a good place to start. It's very simple. It gives them time to develop their hand strength and coordination before moving on to things that are more complex. From there, I guess it does depend on your child's abilities and interests, but I would say that bringing in a curly K is a good idea. And then if they show promise of that, you can start showing them how to loop around to make a 6. It is just the C with a loop. So always trying to give them little steps so they can see that it is simple progressions and that it's not anything too challenging for them. Number 4, shut the door. Very similar to the T, we're not chopping the top, we're chopping the bottom and trying to get a straight angle there. And I guess X is quite a good one for them, going from each corner of the box to the other corner. And when they're good at that, they might be quite good at 7s that go following that same downwards progression. And a Z follows on quite easily from 7. Always moving on to the next step only if you see that they're very good at the first part of it, because otherwise it's going to be too challenging for them. Now you can go on to other letters that have a C in it if you think they're good at that, or it might be easier to start with ones that have a number 1, like the R. It's just reinforcing it is a number 1, having them do a whole line of 1s first, then doing an R. N is just a 1, coming up and going around, or saying it's just like a R, just going down a bit more. A H, just with a bit of a longer bit at the top. An M. Same thing as an N, just coming up on that same line and around. And then we've got P and B and K, which is probably the more tricky ones, starting with the number 1. Then all the letters starting with a K. I'd say an A would be a good place to start. And then a number 9. It's just a longer line on there. And a Q for queen. 9 with a flick out the back. And a G, just an A for apple, and going around. And the S, curly K, looping around again. Now from an S, if they're good at that, then you can do a roller coaster number 8. We do a S, straight back up to the top, and then it's number 8. other letters like V can lead on to a W. We've got a U that leads on to a Y. And a X also seems to be good to do in preparation for a number 2 because of that line going across before it goes out. The last stragglers are just the 3, number 5, E and F, I think it is. Pretty sure we've got them all now. And so some of these letters here you can do not necessarily after those ones. A V might come easily to them after they've done some of these ones, and if it's in their name you might want to bring that in faster. But it's great to stay with the ones that they are grouped with so that they are always remembering that basic element of it being going down first, coming up on the same line for all of these ones, or with these ones always starting with a curly curt, and that really helps them not end up doing their A's in all kinds of funny ways that they can develop.